Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1216 of our daily content grind. A little update on the Magnetar project. I said on the socials that if one or the other, Twitter or Blue Sky, gets to 200 follows on the new accounts, then I would share a lot of the preliminary sketches, the early design sketches of the character. Blue Sky hit it first, so all of them got posted over to Blue Sky. So to get a slight idea of what I've got cooking and what the character is going to look like, please go check out the Blue Sky link. It's in the description below. I'll post it to Twitter as well if Twitter makes it to 200, but I'll be honest with you, kind of glad Twitter's running behind on this. So it looks like Blue Sky might be the place to go for the Magnetar updates. So that's what I have cooking right now, because of course that's a huge thing for me. But it is time for us to look at Skybound once again. I'm doing this a little bit quicker than normal because I tend to like sleep on the Skybound reviews, but the new issue just dropped. The new issue just did things that I'm really happy about. Multiple things I'm really happy about. So we're going to go ahead and get it out of the way. So the way I do these, you'll notice, is we're talking about issue 15 and 16 at the same time. I basically do one of these every 2 months. And as a result, we're going to hop around both issues. I'm going to use minimal sources from the inside covers. I'm going to try to use as much preview material as possible. That said, there wasn't a preview that I could find for one of the books, so I'm borrowing a little bit more heavily than normal. I'm trying to preserve as much of the book as possible because it is worth reading. And if you are even casually curious about this book, I would suggest that you go read it for yourself rather than watching a reviewer talk about it. Because I'm not going to give you the nuances. I'm not going to give you full character breakdowns. I'm not going to really give you the full experience here. I'm just going through plot points and speaking my mind about them. And we're going to start with the smallest plot point across these two issues, which is Arcee and Beachcomber. Arcee had a bit of a rage breakdown in the previous issue. And she's trying to she's trying to recover from that and get herself back together. Optimus has also been dealing with these. We'll get to that in a minute. But it's one of those things that makes her want to kind of push away and give herself some space. And a good excuse to do that is to go find Ultra Magnus, who ran off after facing complete shell shock over Shockwave, his tormentor of 100+ years. So it gives her an exit from the storyline for now. And because Carly is attached to her, they go together. And because Beachcomber is the pacifist, he goes as well, along with Spike, who's also now attached to Beachcomber. So that's our little mini crew who are on the search for Ultra Magnus, who is a powerful warrior who could turn the tide of the battle. But he now has his demons that he has to face. You know, he has traumas he has to overcome, which is a very different story for a Transformer, and I'm actually curious how it's going to be handled. It's interesting to me that a complete pacifist and someone who just is trying to not give in to rage is going after someone who's dealing with shell shock. So it's a lot. It's a lot here. It's an interesting crew that's going to be gathering for this part of the story, certainly. The Arcee part really has me, like, curious. Because she talks about how, like, it's not who she is. She talks about it as if it is, like, a past self she's trying to overcome. And Optimus has kind of been dealing with that, too. He actually sympathizes with her over similar situations. And it makes me go back to all the times I heard characters like Thundercracker describe the Autobots as evil. And now I'm genuinely starting to wonder, where is that coming from? If there is actually something behind why the Autobots are such good guys now, and why two of them are now fighting against this force of rage within them. It's interesting to me, and I'm genuinely curious what exactly is what the origin of this universe is. I think I say that in every review we've done of this, but it's true. There is something that is absolutely behind a lot of the mentalities and characters here, and I really want to know what it is. And like I said, Optimus went through 2 more of his little mental breakdowns. One of them was when the Autobots were trying to salvage and save people from the wreckage of what the Decepticons did. Humans being humans started shooting at the Autobots, assuming that they were also bad guys and trying to capture or kill humans, etc., etc. Prime goes off the rails and starts destroying a tank that got rolled in. He does overcome it, he does leave, and he has brought this up to Wheeljack at this point, who cannot find anything that's actually going on in his brain, so now he's wondering if it's something the Matrix is doing, since it interacted with organic material for the first time. And we have seen that, where he's had visions of Spike as a baby, but as things have gone on, the visions have gotten a lot more twisted. In these books, you see one where it looks like a young Spike from behind, except he's got wires and mechanical parts hanging off of him. It's kind of, if we could have seen Spike from the front, I feel like it could have been body horror, but it's all from the back. You can't really see exactly what's hooked up to him or how it's hooked up. But it is creepy. It's disturbing. It's disturbing because Prime is envisioning reaching out to him, and the hand is clawed and wire covered. It's not Optimus Prime's hand. It's not even Megatron's hand, by the way. There's an implication here that, yes, this could be Megatron's arm literally corrupting him, like a little bit of aggressive programming, but it's also something about the Matrix itself, and after it interacted with Sparky, if that actually did leave some kind of residual PTSD or trauma reaction. And it's a weird story for Optimus Prime, but again, I'm curious as to where it's going and what exactly is causing it. There's also the part where his eyes start glowing Decepticon purple after he starts losing it. That's curious and not at all threatening or ominous in any way, shape, or form. His second bout in issue 16 is during the big battle with the Decepticons, or I guess amongst the Decepticons. And they're battling at the dam where the Autobots previously set up shop. They have control of the Ark again, but because they have a power generator set up at the dam, that's where they're bringing a lot of their soldiers back online. So they're there to try and get Trailbreaker back up, and then just as they do, everything explodes. It looks like Trailbreaker just got stomped and exploded. And during the battle, in order to stop everything, Optimus, even after being warned, Optimus intentionally targets the dam to flood the Decepticons out. Even though he just warned the Decepticons that countless humans would be endangered if the dam bursts. In one weird moment, for whatever was ticking through his brain, Optimus Prime didn't care. I really want to know what's going on. Oh, but speaking of, two of the humans that were in the way of the flood, Trailbreaker saved him. My boy! Like I said, things in issue 16 made me very, very happy. Trailbreaker is back up on his feet. He saves the humans in his first appearance, and and I'm just happy to see that they're actually using the boy, because movie Ironhide kind of aped the whole black pickup truck thing, and Ironhide in general is your go-to character for like your seasoned grizzled veteran these days. You don't really have much pull for Trailbreaker, so it's really, really nice to see him around. Ironhide's not in this story. So again, just similar to using Cliffjumper instead of Bumblebee, I'm happy to see Trailbreaker get a due, rather than like the usual go-to. Makes me happy. I hope he sticks around. These are very violent books. Characters have died. I really want him to stick around a little bit longer. My fingers are crossed. I'm hopeful here. But yeah, as I mentioned, there is a battle. Not between Autobot and Decepticon, but between Decepticon and Decepticon. Soundwave is trying to play it calculated. He essentially, they essentially go on a rampage to draw out the Autobots and then plan an attack at their home base. So that's Soundwave being more strategic. Okay, good on you. And it works for the most part. They nearly got Cliffjumper Trailbreaker destroyed. But the big thing here is that it's not just Soundwave. Starscream shows up, and he's still wheeling around on top of a Cobra Hiss tank. They make a quick point to show that Brawl, the the Combaticon who lost their legs due to a portal screw up, they made it a point that they are very loyal to Starscream because he made sure that Brawl had his legs repaired first before his own legs were repaired. You know what? Okay. That's Starscream knowing how to get people manipulated. That's Starscream being a manipulator, so he has his own soldiers. And I said before, in the previous review, it's nice to see the Combaticons with Starscream again. That's a very classic traditional setup. And he's got Astrotrain as the muscle on top of that. So Starscream's brigade ends up battling Soundwave's Decepticons. And the whole thing is framed around Bruticus versus Devastator, which frankly, I thought would have been a bigger deal. It's mostly just a background piece to everything else that's going on. Like a fight between Soundwave and Astrotrain, which, will eventually get cut off by Starscream. This one is fascinating because during this battle, we get a line from Astrotrain that finally explains his rage. One of the questions that I've been waiting for an answer on gets answered right here. And it is, why is he so angry at Megatron? Why is he furiously angry at Megatron? And he screamed about it during this fight. It's not about loyalties to him. He doesn't care if he's following Soundwave or Starscream. He's going to go with whoever lets him kill Megatron. I will go with who will let me kill the one who ended my love. He is motivated by heartbreak and revenge at Megatron's hands. Now I'm really curious. Again, this book's good at making me curious. So we know the motivation, but now we want to know how this happened and who. Because he's wearing Decepticon emblems, so at some time he had to have joined the Decepticon. So it must have been someone on the Decepticon side. And this is like purely G1 based. We haven't seen any original characters yet. And there aren't, which means there's no Autobots, or there's no females on the Decepticon side, only the Autobot. So, did Astrotrain fall in love with one of the female Autobots on Cybertron? Is there a brand new character that was amongst the Decepticons that Astrotrain was in love with? Dare I say they go the IDW route and go like, hey, they're robots. Why are they concerned about gender norms? If that's why Blitzwing's missing from this book, I'm going to be furious. I'm going to be very, very annoyed if that's why he's not here. But again, answers a question, leaves me with another question. That's writing, folks. That's good writing. That's good storytelling. We also get a fight between Starscream and Thundercracker. And I love this fight for a few reasons. Number one, it ends when Thundercracker manages to get a hold of the little controller that handles Starscream's treads. And he basically just hits the backup switch to make him fall off a cliff. That's kind of hysterical. And as I was reading the book, I was noticing Starscream's kind of moving around without really using the controller, which made me think like maybe he doesn't actually need it to move. And it was just as soon as I had that thought, that's when I turned the page and I see, oh, it is still a thing. It does still control the Hiss tank. So Starscream goes rolling off, but not before dropping a little bit of a nugget here. He was blaming Starscream for what happened to Skywarp. Remember, Thundercracker was horrified at what happened to Skywarp, blaming the evil Autobots. Again, I'm wondering if the evil Autobot thing that keeps coming up has anything to do with these anger issues that certain Autobots seem to have. It feels like there's a correlation. But in this case, he blames Starscream for what happened to Skywarp, and then Starscream just blurts it out that, no, it was me and Soundwave who did it. If you hate me for that, hate him too. Oh, and guess what? Thundercracker does. In the midst of the battle, when Soundwave is being outmatched by Astrotrain, Thundercracker abandons him, transforms into jet mode, and just leaves. He is done with this. In issue 15, we get this fantastic moment where the Decepticons are just wreaking havoc on a city, and Thundercracker is not comfortable with this wanton destruction just for the sake of it. When he spots humans that are trapped in the rubble, he whispers to them to run. He wants them to escape. He does not want to hurt human beings. And then he continues the attack as if, he's actually trying to do damage or kill, but he's not. He's just trying to keep Soundwave placated while he lets the humans get away. Thundercracker being true to his original origins, his original character concept. Thank you. I love human-friendly Thundercracker. It's so much more interesting and dynamic than just the generic goon he was in G1. It's so much better. So yeah, us IDW Thundercracker fans are eating right now, and I keep saying super curious, and I am. I want to know what happens next. Does he fall in with the Autobots? It's likely from the previews of the next book that he's going to actually see and encounter Skywarp again on the Ark. And there's another factor, which we'll get to at the end. But we need to pop over to Cybertron, where Cliffjumper has met up with some surviving Autobots. Warpath, Blue Streak, Blur, all being led by a still angry Elita 1. And this is a very different crew of Autobots. This is a very different tone on Cybertron. Decepticons run pretty much everything, and the Autobots who survive have basically gone to guerrilla warfare tactics. Poor Ramjet gets gutted from behind by Blue Streak. Autobots going the stealth rogue approach just to murder a sentry. It's brutal. It's really brutal. And then they harvest his energon for themselves. Like, they're literally taking blood from their enemies in order to energize themselves. This is messed up. This is some of the most messed up. We get a taste of just how bad it's gotten on Cybertron, and you can kind of see why Elita 1 was so angry at Optimus Prime for leaving when he did. I get it. I seriously get it. Like, it's bad. They really could have used him. They're left in a situation that is very, very low on hope. The planet is Decepticon controlled. They have no idea how many surviving groups of Autobots are still out there. They bleed numbers themselves. We saw Cup die, in this story already. Cliffjumper has an idea. Cliffjumper goes to where his clan, remember, clans are a thing in this universe, where Megatron killed his clan, and he reveals this. This is a spark container. It houses what's left of each spark of all of his fallen friends. Not enough to revive any one of them, but maybe enough to create something new. We're going to be getting our very first original character to the Skybound universe, and I'm really excited to see exactly what it is. I'm wondering if a multi-spark thing, basically a Frankenstein of spark fragments, leads to this being like an odd character, like split personalities, using we pronouns, that kind of odd, because we've never really explored this kind of concept before. Ironically, the only time we've ever come close to this was the binary spark that was created for Tigerhawk between Tigatron and Airazor, ironically in the same series that taught us about sparks in the first place. It's been that long since we had anything like this going on. So now I'm really curious. Don't take a drink. No, there's no drinking game for how many times I've said the word curious. You die. But I am really fascinated by how that's going to turn out. And then there's the finale. There's that last page. Remember, Laserbeak left a while ago on his own accord. He found what he was looking for. He finds Megatron with one arm and no eyes. But he's free. He's no longer a captive of any humans. So now what does he do? He rewires his eyes through Laserbeak. He literally rips cables out of Laserbeak and wires his own skull to him. So he can now see out of... So Laserbeak is now essentially blind, but he's perched on Megatron's shoulder so Megatron can see out of Laserbeak. And this is how he's going to return to the Decepticons. Oh boy. This is where it gets fascinating. So what happens here? Do we have like a third opposing faction of Decepticons? You know, does Thundercracker manage to get Skywarp out of Teletran 1 and they rejoin Megatron? Keep in mind, Thundercracker is loyal to Megatron only because he fears Megatron. And he fears the retaliation of Megatron should he completely betray the Decepticons. Even though, you know, he doesn't really believe in the Decepticon cause. That's the, or, you know, if they're going with like the true origin and true original intent behind Thundercracker's character, that's the direction to go in. But that would still mean directly harming the humans, which I don't think he wants to do. My hope is that, yeah, like we actually see a proper Autobot Thundercracker by the time, you know, this story plays out. I would love to see that. You know, because even though he was an ally in IDW, he was never officially an Autobot. And I just like the idea of an Autobot Seeker. Here's a very simple factor we've never had. There's never been an Autobot Seeker. Point being, Megatron coming back. I don't know if that's going to get everybody back in line. Here's the thing. Autobots are still way outnumbered. If they don't, and they have no combiners of their own. If Megatron beats everybody back down under his foot and takes command of both Decepticon factions, the Autobots are screwed. I mean, he's gonna get sound waves. He's gonna take over sound waves. It's a matter of how loyal are the Combaticons to Starscream, and does Starscream with no legs really want to take on Megatron with no eyes and one arm? It's a weird fight. It'd be a weird fight between them right now. But man, what a time to bring Megatron back into the fold. And those are your issues. Those are the major stories and plot points going on in these books. Like I said, like I keep saying, these books are really, really good. These books are really, really good, and I'm always fascinated when another one comes out. And I'm always going like, what happens next? What happens next? I'm super curious, super curious. Like I just can't stop. Like it's that good. It's that well written. And yeah, this made me happy. This makes me really, really happy. We've got feuding Decepticons, a twisted Optimus Prime, Trailbreaker's back, Thundercracker's being a good boy. I am so excited for where this story's going. So once again, if you don't check out these books out for yourself, if you use these kind of videos in order to actually take in the stories for yourself, I would recommend against it. Please, I implore you, read the books. They are absolutely worth your time. And otherwise, thank you for your time today. That's it for me. I have other things to get back to. And as usual, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. You've been waiting a long time, haven't you? But the wait's almost over. You're about to meet the brightest star in the universe. We're going to make an impact.